I'm George Portis, Artistic General Director at the Adirondack Lakes Center for the Arts in beautiful Blue Mountain Lake, New York, at the heart of the Adirondacks. I'm not currently at the Arts Center, however. I'm standing in front of the Saranac Laboratory in beautiful Saranac Lake, New York, an hour and a half from Blue Mountain Lake. It is here that Dr. E.L. Trudeau, pioneer in scientific research and tuberculosis treatment, toiled his entire life in hopes of defeating the deadly disease. Trudeau's cure, as it was called, brought thousands of the afflicted to Saranac Lake from the late 1800s to the 1950s. It is to tell Trudeau's story, along with that of Margaret, a fictional cure seeker in the 1930s, that North Country playwright Frederic Glover wrote The Cure, an Adirondack Story, a funny, engaging, and heart-wrenching telling of two sides of this quintessentially Adirondack tale, which reverberates through time and into the present day. The Arts Center, through our Adirondack Lakes Theatre Festival, will be bringing a full production of this play to communities around the North Country in 2024, sharing both the masterful storytelling of Fred Glover and the genius and heartbreak of the life of Dr. Edward Livingston Trudeau. At the core of Fred Glover's play are the life and struggles of Dr. Edward Trudeau, a driven, deeply compassionate man who suffered from tuberculosis his entire adult life and devoted himself to finding a cure for the dread disease during the late 1800s. His story expands to include people from the community and larger issues of health during the pandemic. Glover uses the device of a writer, Margaret, from New York City, who is seeking the cure for her case of tuberculosis at the famous Wilderness Health Resort of Saranac Lake. The story is told in a play-within-a-play structure. Margaret, a novelist, creates a story for the audience about Trudeau. Margaret's own dramatic and comic story of her growing love for the Adirondack wilderness and its seemingly magical healing powers is combined with her love story with a local guide who is assisting her, and intermixes with the story of Dr. Trudeau to care for his patients, create his world-famous sanatorium, and find a cure for tuberculosis, all amidst his own personal and family hardships. The stories of Margaret and Dr. Trudeau contrast and combine into a play that celebrates the importance of community in healing, the many sides of the natural world, and the struggle to transcend a deadly pandemic. The fully staged production will use music and visual images of the natural world to create a dramatic, comic, and lyrical tale designed to resonate for a wide audience. For this preview, Adirondack-based actors Donna and Sean Orman were gracious enough to read through the final scene in the first act of The Cure, an Adirondack Story. In this scene, Margaret, a writer from New York City, who has come to the Adirondacks for The Cure, and her Adirondack guide, Frank, are in a guideboat on a lake. Their discussion of Margaret's cultural background against the backdrop of 1930s world events illustrates the wide gulf between those who came to the Adirondacks to be cured versus the locals, and the growing, unlikely relationship between these seemingly polar opposites.
Is there a specific reason for this silent treatment?
Looking for a good spot. They haven't been biting.
You've been in a bad mood since you got back from town.
It's important for a customer to be honest about what they want and who they are.
Meaning?
You told me your name was Margaret Middleton. It's not true, is it?
It started as my pen name. Then I began to use it as my real name. My editor suggested it. He believed people will buy a book from someone named Margaret Middleton, but not from someone named Margaret Markowitz. Sadly, he is correct. Are you upset to learn that I'm Jewish?
No, doesn't matter to me.
Are you sure?
Yep.
Because there are many people it does matter to. When you ask why I'm not invited to the parties at the big camps, now you know.
I don't care about all that.
Then what are you so angry about?
Makes me wonder what else you've been lying about.
Everything. I'm lying about everything. I'm a writer, remember? A professional liar. We've already established that.
Never met a Jew before.
Well, now you have.
Is that why you're always reading the paper?
Jews read the paper, yes. Especially the New York Times. We're biologically incapable of living without it.
I mean, is that why you're always following the news in Germany?
Everybody should be following the news in Germany. Even you.
What's that mean?
Figure it out.
I can't. Doubt I want to.
You are just like my father. I mean, you are nothing like him, but you are exactly like him. A rock.
Worse things than being a rock, I suppose.
So set in your ways. So certain you know exactly what is right for everything and everyone. Do you have any idea what's going on in Germany?
Don't know. Don't care.
Well, you might if you were Jewish. You might care a great deal.
Well, I'm not. I figure I got my own problems.
Not problems like these. Yesterday, I read
I
that
don't want to hear about it. Thank you.
Why not?
I don't trust the press. Bunch of liars.
Well, it's all lies, is it? Hitler is just a figment of the imagination.
Don't know. Never met him. Don't care about some lies going on in Europe. Press lies right here at home. Now, they'll have us fighting another war soon enough. That's all the papers do. Start wars, stir up trouble, get people all worked up to hate and kill each other. Press has blood all over it.
The rest of the world exists whether you like it or not.
I take care of myself and mind my own business. The rest of the world should do the same. We'd all be better off.
Wonderful philosophy.
I don't need philosophy. I got a boat.
Yes. You are Mr. Thoreau himself, thoroughly self-reliant.
Thoreau? Who's that, the fellow over in Tupper Lake with the steam loader?
I really cannot tell if your rock-solid stupidity is an act or if it's the real thing.
Oh, it's the real thing, all right. If you think you can learn anything by reading books, well, you got a whole lot to learn. And there's no fool like an educated fool.
I have had quite enough of your condescending tone.
No, if I knew what that meant, I might be insulted.
You're always talking down to me like I'm a child.
You are a child. You know nothing of the world.
I'm 29 years old.
You're like a child to me. You don't know how to survive on your own, and all you know is that horrible city.
New York is my home. New York is the most magnificent city in the world. Don't insult my city.
It gave you this disease. Cities are full of disease. You rich fools get sick, and then you race up here hoping to survive, and then you look down your noses at us, what was smart enough not to live there in the first place.
I do nothing of the sort.
You're the worst kind of snob. You don't even know you're being a snob. It's like the air you breathe. You think just because you've read a lot of fancy books and you all got that money, you're superior to us rubes.
I can assure you that I feel superior to no one, although maybe I should. I truly believe that someone should slap you upside your thick, fat head.
And who might that be?
Whoever is available.
Try it. You'll break your hand.
Is that right?
Go ahead. You can't hurt me. Ow!
Strangely enough, my hand appears to be unbroken.
That is enough.
Are you impossible, thick-headed, rude, condescending? I can't swim! I can't swim!
Well, neither can I!
I want to thank Donna Fortune and Sean Orman for lending us their time and talent, and for their wonderful reading of this scene from Fred Glover's The Cure, an Adirondack Story. Watch for more information on this part of our 2024 Adirondack Lakes Theatre Festival, and for news on other planned productions. I'm George Cordes, Artistic General Director of the Adirondack Lakes Center for the Arts, and on behalf of our board and our staff, I wish you all a happy and peaceful New Year.